Okay, so let's talk about this one. This is a crazy story. Now, New York, man, it's been getting crazier and crazier. Now, in light of the Daniel Penny case, if you're not familiar with that, Daniel Penny is the Marine who accidentally, it looks like he choked Jordan Neely. But, we talked about that on the next one of my next podcasts coming up. So you'll be seeing us talking about that. But I want to talk about this story because it brings together three juggernauts of issues.
Horrible story, Maddie.
Yeah, the details are certainly disturbing, guys. We do want to warn viewers the video you're about to watch is graphic. This happened Sunday morning. The NYPD says a person of interest whom they now have in custody and the victim were both riding the F subway train bound for Stillwell Avenue in Brooklyn. As the train pulled into the station, the suspect walked up to the victim and lit her on fire. Flames quickly overcame the woman, and in one of the most chilling, perhaps, of this incident, police say the suspect did not leave. Instead, he sat on a bench on the platform just outside the train car. Video appears to show the suspect watching the victim burn. Because he did not leave, the police officers, through their body cameras, were able to get images of the suspect. They distributed those, and the NYPD says three high schoolers recognized the suspect.
This is the guy who walked up to a woman on the train. She was apparently sleeping, I believe. The woman was probably homeless, from what I understand, and he lit her on fire. Now, I'm going to play a little bit more, but, just for clarification, this guy, he is in the country illegally. He entered the country twice. So a lot of people who talk about, all throughout the election, I talked about illegal migrants, illegal immigration. I always thought it was a big issue, as a lot of people do. But there are a lot of people who was like, no, it's not a big issue. And I always say that, one of those things is that until it touches you, and something actually happens to somebody you love or somebody then you kind of understand why illegal immigration is a big issue in this country. Now, this story really brings together three juggernaut. It's a juggernaut of three issues, right? So you have homelessness, you have mental illness, and you have illegal immigration. Now, homelessness would represent the woman on the train, right? So she was homeless. Mental illness would have to be this guy, this Guatemalan migrant. He has to have mental issues, obviously, to do what he did. He set the woman on fire and sat there and watched as she burned. He didn't even run. He lit her on fire and waited there until the police came. And then obviously the third issue is illegal immigration, illegal migrant, which he is.
The suspect is 33-year-old Sebastian Zapeta. While police did not identify the person of interest, a high-level NYPD source told Fox News Digital the individual entered the U.S. illegally from Guatemala in 2018 when President-elect Trump was president during his first term. The person of interest has no prior arrests in New York City and one prior arrest in Arizona, the source said, though details about the arrest were not available.
At this hour, I'm pleased to announce that a short time ago, alert NYPD transit officers took a person of interest into custody. I want you to know that this apprehension was another in what has become a series of joint efforts involving different crimes between the police and the public we serve.
So now this is the post that New York Governor Kathy Hochul is being criticized for. She said on X, "In March, I took action to make our subway safer for the millions of people who take the trains each day. Since deploying the National Guard of New York to support the NYPD and the MTA safety efforts and adding cameras to all subway cars, crime is going down and ridership is going up."
We could argue back and forth about how safe the New York subway is, but I think that the bigger issue is, mental illness and homelessness, first and foremost, in New York. Now, we have a lot of things going on. With the Jordan Neely case, Daniel Penny, that's the Marine who choked Jordan Neely to death. In that case, you had a mental illness issue. Jordan Neely had some mental issues. I'm not here to argue as to whether his death was justified. I don't think it was justified, but I don't know if Daniel Penny meant to choke him. But we talk about that in one of my upcoming episodes on the channel, so you guys will check that out at some point. But I think the bigger thing is that with mental illness, again, you got to think about the safety of people. And there's a lot of people who are mentally ill who are a danger to themselves, but they're also a danger to other people. Anybody who's going to light somebody on fire and sit there and watch has some real issues going on, right? So I think, how do you prevent these things? One, let's put homelessness aside for a minute. How do you prevent some of these things? Is you have to deal with the mental illness in this country, and then also with this guy in particular, illegal immigration. He came into the country twice. Now, the border czar has been going at it with Brandon Johnson in Chicago. This new administration wants to come in January and start deporting people. And I tell a lot of people, man, illegal immigration is definitely an issue. You always have crime, no doubt. But what you have to understand is when you have people in the country who may have mental illness and you don't know who they are and can't track them, that becomes an even bigger problem. And this guy came into the country illegally twice. But then I know year over year, people like to say, yo, crime is down in New York. But if you are tapped in and you're paying attention to the things that are happening in New York City, there are a lot of crimes that are related to illegal migrants. There's a lot of them. And if it hasn't touched you, you're probably like, we have other issues. We have inflation. We have, the housing crisis and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? At the end of the day, there's definitely a lot of safety issues and there's things that are taking tolls on the economy.